You're listening to The Freak Zone with me, Stuart Maconie. And Coil are a band I think a lot of you probably know and enjoy. They formed in 1982. John Balance formed the band with his partner and collaborator Peter Sleazy Christopherson, who you probably know from his work with Psychic TV and Throbbing Gristle. John wrote the lyrics. They crossed over many genres. They both sadly died young and left no estate. So many of their albums are out of print, and the reissue of them is a hugely complicated thing. So it's with great pleasure we say that Cold Spring Records have released an album that's been languishing in Trent Reznor's vault for many years, recorded in the early 90s at his studio in New Orleans, and backwards has been there ever since. But the engineer Danny Hyde, who worked with Coil over a 20-year period, has now mastered the tapes. They're going to be released. I caught up with him recently to find out more. I'm looking, Danny, at the note that you've written about Backwards, and it says it should have been released. It was to be released, but because of issues with grey men, it wasn't. Put it in context, would you, about where it happened in Coil's history?
Right, well, after Love Secret Domain, we messed around with a bunch of stuff, and they did Stolen and Contaminated. And after that, a bunch of tunes were born, let's say, with nowhere to go. Coil were always the sort of band where they'd never do an album in a week or a year. You know, things were extended out. So in 93 we went back into the studio and we had a load of stuff, and then we dropped it for a bit, and then in 95 we went back and we did a load more stuff, and then I got the call that we're going to New Orleans to finish it, because Reznor was a fan of Coil and he'd offered the studio for free. So the album was due to be released on Nothing Records, which was Interscope, and that was the deal. And it went on and on. It wasn't released. And I spoke to Pete and I said, you know, what's going on with this? And he said, well, there's some contractual problems, blah, blah, blah. When it got down to it, it seemed that, not Trent, because Trent was all for it, it seemed that somebody high up in the record company somehow wanted Pete to sign a contract that said, you will do videos for us and nobody else. Right. If we release this. That was the hint I got from Pete. I mean, this is Peter Christopherson, was the sort of guy who would never slag anybody off. Never. But you could see he was under stress. It seemed that they got him kind of over a wheel, you know. That's the grey men. Right, okay. So there's no artistic reasons why this didn't come out, and Trent Reznor was into it and you had a good time doing it. It's just, you know, legal complications. Yeah, I mean, there was no artistic reason. The band were really into it. Obviously, as time went on and they developed a different style and they got more droney and stuff. Yeah. I mean, before Jeff died, he was probably wouldn't have released it then, you know, in 2004. If we said, let's release it now, he probably would have wanted to change it. But the important thing for releasing this is the link between Love Secret Domain and the Music to Play in the Dark series. Yeah. In retrospect, now when we're 20 years later, yeah, sure, it could be changed here, it could be changed there, but it is what it is. And now, thanks to you and lots of other people, I guess, but you can tell me about that, it's going to be released. And who do we have to thank? Has it been essentially your baby? No, we have Justin at Cold Spring to thank. Because, Stuart, to be perfectly honest, I've always enjoyed being the backroom boy. Right. You know, I like the mixing desk. I like to stay out of the limelight. Releases and politics was never my thing, you know. But Coil, they have a fan base which is like, it's really full on. Yeah. You know, it couldn't be that, it's got to be this, or whatever. And so when Justin said, let's do it, I thought about it for a while, and I thought, well, okay, well, at least there's going to be two of us in the trenches. Let's do it. Yeah. We got broader shoulders if there's two of us too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I can blame him. Indeed you can. But so what you're saying, in effect, is that the downside of that absolute passion and mania is people can be very kind of fixated on what they think a Coil release should be. Stuart, you hit the nail on the head. Right. People forever saying to me, well, Coil was this or Coil was that. But for 20 plus years I worked with them, and Coil was never the one thing. The one thing it was let's not be one thing. Yeah. But a lot of the fans seem to have fallen in love with a certain era of Coil, and they say, no, Coil is that. That's what Coil is. Yeah, because the Coil stuff, there's industrial stuff, there's ambient stuff, there's acid house stuff, there's trancey stuff, isn't there? Because Coil were free, because they were almost financing themselves. Yeah. It was always an experiment. So you go in the studio, you know what happened. Nobody's got an idea. There's no, you know. Yeah.
And am I right in thinking that John had been working on his voice, had some vocal coaching?
He did before New Orleans.
Yeah.
This is where I'm going to get lynched. But when we did Love Secret Domain, I remember John singing. I'd worked with some great singers. I worked with Carol Kenyon and millions of really good singers.
Yeah.
And John was singing, and I was in the studio, and I almost wanted to laugh.
Right.
Because to me, being a conservative studio man.
Yeah.
I was thinking, who is this guy? What is he doing? I already knew them. I'd known them 4 or 5 years by then anyway. Yeah. But I thought, Jeff's really pushing this. I look back now and I see he was kind of a genius. He was just doing his own thing. Yeah. But by New Orleans, he'd done some vocal coaching. And when he stepped on the microphone, he seemed to have a lot more control of his voice. And it was like, instead of a stroppy student trying to preach to you what he's trying to say,
right,
the power was just in the natural way of saying it.
Intriguing. We should just say, in case people are getting a bit confused, that John's real name was Jeff. And
he was Jeff Rushton.
Yeah, that's right. But what did that coaching entail? Did he go to somebody who was getting him, do the old la 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 la?
Well, do you know what? That I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea. He just mentioned he'd been at vocal coaching, and I could hear the difference. I mean, he stepped in front of the microphone, and like a cold cell,
Yeah.
When he sung it, I don't know. The power was in there. There was just something different,
From hidden obligations, a cold cell.
It
was in the studio, Trent Reznor studio in New Orleans. Was he there at all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was around. Right. Yeah. But, it's funny. Again, I give kudos to Peter and Coil on this. I mean, Trent would have quite happily jammed on their things.
Yeah.
He was around, he was about, he was being interested. They didn't use that. Now, 95% of bands would have said, let's get Trent on this to do a guitar solo. Our sales will go up.
Sure.
Peter and Jeff, they just weren't interested in that. They just wanted to do their thing.
Yeah.
And looking back, that's very unique.
Yeah. Some of the tracks on it have appeared over the years, haven't they? But I'm guessing never in the way you thought they ought to. Is that right?
Well, it's not a question of what I thought they should be. The Backwards album it's a statement of that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what was to go out. That was what was agreed to go out, and that's the way it is. Now, on the new Backwards, we reworked quite a few of the tunes in Bangkok in 2006. But they're reworkings. I'm not saying which one is better.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the Backwards album we put out is the way it was going to be. It's like the missing link between one period and the next period.
So people will hear, Coil fans will be able to hear, you think, that it's a transition record, yeah?
They should be able to, yeah. I mean, it was the stepping stone.
Yeah. And what is it like for you? I mean, given what's happened, given, that people are no longer with us, does it feel, when you're doing these things, does it feel kind of celebratory? Is it a little melancholy? What kind of experience is it for you?
Melancholy.
Yeah.
Very melancholy. I mean, Pete was probably the best person I ever worked in the studio with, in terms of letting you do what you do.
Yeah.
Without saying, well, it should be, he just let everybody do what they do.
Yeah.
And then edit the best of it.
What is it, do you think, that makes them such a band that attracts fanatical devotion? Do you know, have you any theories about that?
Well, there's the gay element to a degree.
Yeah, that's true.
Obviously, because, I mean, I know that from my Facebook. I never get one pretty girl ever say, can I be your friend?
Right.
And I wish they would, but they don't. But I get, lots of guys.
Yeah.
And so that element obviously has a big part of it.
And there's an intensity about it all, isn't there, as well? Yeah.
And I think there's an honesty as well.
Yeah.
I think I had an email from a guy the other day, born in 1935.
Wow.
Just discovered Coil.
Wow.
Wanted to know what he should listen to. Hopefully, the church will broaden, hopefully.
Yeah. Sir, if you're listening, do get in touch with us on the Freak Zone. You might like what we play. And ladies, email Danny. Get in touch with Danny on his Facebook page.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Please, Stuart, edit that out. Okay.
No, that's great. Cheers, Danny, for doing this.
Thanks, Stuart. Thanks a lot.
Bye.